you know whether or not a decision is the right one for you? So maybe you are deciding whether a certain path is for you, or maybe you know a path is for you, but you're trying to decide whether or not it's the right time to jump in on that path. How can you really know and be sure that you are making the right decision? I thought this would be a really good topic to touch upon, because I know so many people really kind of hold themselves back from going all in on their dreams and keep themselves playing small, not because they don't want to do something, but they can't just fully commit and fully decide that, yes, I am going all in on this. They don't trust themselves enough to say yes to their dreams. They're scared perhaps of what may go wrong. Now, I want to kind of go into how we can really figure out whether the decision we're making is the right one for us. And what I want to start actually by sharing is some of the big decisions I've made in my life and how I was really able to tap in and figure out, okay, well, is this the right path for me? Now, a couple of really good examples of this, big decisions that I've made in my life, have been, first of all, my decision to become a coach, to really decide, okay, this is the path for me. I'm going to move forwards with my dreams of becoming a coach. Another big decision I made in my life around that time was my decision to actually quit my job and really take my coaching business full time. I've had to make lots of really big decisions within my business. For example, things like hiring team members, creating new programs, when to actually let go of certain programs that I was running that perhaps weren't necessarily bringing me joy. And then one of the most recent, biggest decisions I've ever made within my life was the decision that I made to purchase a home in Spain and to actually come and move out here. So me and my partner and our children, we've actually relocated to the southern part of Spain. And that was a huge, huge decision. And I look back at all of these big decisions that I've made over my life, and I think to myself, well, what helped me really say yes to those things? How did I know at the time that that was the right thing for me to do? How did I know that the timing was right? So if you have any big decisions in your life at the moment that you are kind of looking for guidance on, then I really hope that this video will support you. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is learning how to distinguish between the voice of love and the voice of fear. Because when we are making decisions from that place of love, that's when we're always going to be making the decision that is right for us. But so often, we allow that voice of fear to take over. Okay? Now, how do we distinguish which is the voice that's talking to us? And we can normally actually identify the voice of fear because it normally comes with that feeling of anxiety as well. So let's say you're deciding whether or not to do something, and you kind of have all of these anxious feelings coming up, and you're thinking, well, maybe this isn't the right decision for me. What is behind those anxious feelings? Is it that voice of negativity? Is it the voice of fear? And normally we know it's the voice of fear because it's something that's going on in our head. Okay, it's that negative internal chitter chatter. What if you fail? What if this doesn't work out for you? What if this is the wrong decision for you? Maybe this isn't the right time. Okay, if you are in that constant internal loop within your mind, normally that's a good sign that that is fear talking. Okay, when it is the voice of love, when we are making a decision from that place of love, we are acting from the heart. We are acting from our intuition, from our gut. We're just going for it without letting that voice of fear take over. Okay, but it's so easy for many of us, myself included, to sometimes just allow that internal voice of fear to take over. And then we either don't make the decision at all, or we decide, okay, I'm going to play it safe, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do this right now. Okay, because we listen too much to our heads rather than our hearts. Okay, now this is something that it might feel unusual to do to begin with when we start to act from our hearts rather than our heads, because we're so used to acting from that logical mind. Okay, but a big part of really Tapping into our feminine power and our intuition is learning to act from the heart, act from that place of love. Okay, so how do we know when we are doing this? Well, normally a good sign is if the thing that you are wanting to do or the thing that you're making a decision on, if you are completely honest with yourself, this would be something that you would absolutely love to do. Okay, now ask yourself these questions. If I 100% knew that I would succeed in this path, if I knew that taking this path, everything would go as I planned and as I wanted, would I decide to commit to this path? Would I say yes to this decision? Okay, so if we start to eliminate all of those what ifs, what if I fail, what if it doesn't work, we start to get rid of that. If we start to say to ourselves, this decision, there is no other option apart from this working out for me. Everything is going to unfold in my favor. If we 100% believed that to be true, would we say yes to this decision? Okay, and if your answer is still yes to that, you know that that is then a decision that's coming from the heart. It's something that you want to do, it's something that you desire to do. And if we eradicate that voice of fear, your answer would be yes. Now, a great way to just silence that voice of fear is through utilizing something such as meditation. And a meditation can be a really great way to tap into that voice of love, our higher wisdom, our intuition, because in the moments of silence, that's when we often receive the answers that we need the loudest. Okay, so if you're using meditation as a practice already, what I would invite you to do is bring the decision you want an answer to into your meditation practice. Have that at the forefront of your mind. Okay, so set an intention that today I would like to make a decision on X and bring that question to your meditation practice. Okay, and then once you start to disconnect from your mind and really silence that internal chitter chatter, you will start to see and feel what is going on. What messages are you receiving? How do you start to feel? Okay, do you start to feel more relaxed? Do you start to feel higher vibe? Do you start to feel more excited? Okay, because what I found is that when I switch off that voice of fear through something such as meditation, I start to get those tingly feelings. And that is me being able to connect to my intuition that's telling me yes, my heart telling me yes, that I should go for something. Now, whilst we're talking about this idea of desire, making a decision towards something that we want, stop to think that the fact that you even have this desire in the first place is a pretty good sign that it is meant for you. Because the universe doesn't plant desires or wishes or hopes or dreams in our hearts for no reason. We normally stumble across certain paths or certain options for us because they're things that the universe wants us to find. Okay, the universe is sending us a sign that this is perhaps what we are meant to be doing. So just think that the fact that you even have that desire at all is a pretty good indication that that is the path for you. Now, speaking of signs from the universe, this is something else that I've also done through a lot of my big decisions, is I've asked the universe for a sign, like, is this the right time for me? Am I on the right path? Is this decision right for me? Now, getting a sign from the universe, you can do this in a number of different ways. So you could ask the universe for a very specific signal. So it could be, okay, if this is the right decision for me, I would like to be able to see a pink flamingo in the next 24 hours. And then over the next 24 hours, look out for that pink flamingo. Expect to see it. Pay attention. Is the universe sending you a sign that this decision is right for you? Or you could leave it up to the universe to deliver you a sign. So it might be, okay, well, give me some sort of clue, universe, that the decision I'm about to make is the right one for me. So for example, let's say you're making a decision about whether or not to become a coach, okay? Because this was one of the big decisions in my life. And at the time, I also asked the universe for a sign, like, let me know that this is the path for me. And it felt like as soon as I asked that question, I was seeing so many different things from within the coaching space. It felt like every time I went on social media, all of the content that I was seeing was related to coaches. Okay, I started to meet people where previously I felt like I hadn't really met anybody that kind of understood what coaching was or knew about it. And I started to just randomly meet people within my life that had hired a coach, that knew a coach, or even that were coaches. So I found that, I was asking the universe, give me a sign that this is the path I'm meant to be on. And all of a sudden, it felt like that was all I was seeing. That was all I was being exposed to. Okay, so allow the universe to give you a little bit of guidance here as well. Now, it's also important to distinguish between acting from a place of duty versus desire. Okay, and often we do the latter. We act from a place of what we feel like we should do. Okay, maybe to meet people's expectations, maybe based upon what other people are doing, maybe based upon what people are telling us that we should do. And often when we act from that place, we are not making the right decision for us. So again, this is all about coming back to what is true and authentic to you. What is your heart telling you to do rather than what is somebody else telling you to do. If you completely cut yourself off and disconnected yourself from the opinions of others, from what other people are doing, from the judgment of others, what you think they're going to say about your decision, what would your decision be? If nobody knew about the decision you were going to make, if they were completely unaware of the choice that you're about to make for yourself, what would your choice be? Would that affect your choice? Again, this is about really cutting yourself off from other people's lives and really just doing you for you, knowing that whatever decision you make for yourself is always going to be the best decision for you. Now, another thing I will say is that once you get into this habit of being decisive, it's like a muscle that just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay, but you have to start using and flexing that decisiveness muscle. So if you're somebody that overanalyzes every tiny little decision in their life, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to wear? How do you think you're going to cope when it comes to those bigger decisions in your life? It's about adopting the identity of somebody who is decisive, who just goes for it, who doesn't overthink things, who just jumps in, trusts themselves enough, and just trust that things will work out as they should. Okay, so this is something I think I very much adopted from an early stage within my coaching business, and I think it served me so well. When I first realized I wanted to become a coach, I realized actually how much I had put things off. I'd spent a lot of my 20s not really making any decision on anything. And I decided that, okay, if I'm going to do this now, I am just going to make a decision on this, that I am going to go all in. I'm not just going to dip a toe into this. I'm going to go all in. And I want to be somebody who is bold enough to just commit to their dreams, commit to themselves, and just kind of be a little bit more brave and courageous. And I found that since doing that, since deciding, yes, I'm going to become a coach, that ability to make decisions has become easier and easier and easier. And I had a lot of people actually, when I mentioned on social media that I came out to Spain in October. It was a part of Spain that I had never really kind of spent a huge amount of time. And we were here for just 10 days. And within that 10 days, we saw a number of houses. And within that space of time, it was actually the first house that we viewed. We put an offer in to buy the house, and we made that decision that we were going to move to Spain. And in the January, so that was in the October, in the January, we finally made that leap. And I've had so many people say to me like, oh, how did you decide? Like, is this something you've been thinking about for ages? And the truth is, it actually wasn't. It all kind of started January of 2021. So the January of the year previous, when we were in lockdown in the UK. I had a newborn at home. The weather was really bad. And I started to think, you know what? I would absolutely love to live somewhere warmer. I'd always kind of thought that this would happen from the beginning of starting my coaching business. I always had sort of this dream about living, somewhere warmer or having a home somewhere near the beach where, we could be outdoors a lot more. But it was really sort of January last year that I decided, this is going to happen. This is something that I absolutely want to do. And from making that decision, from going out to Spain to view houses in the October, everything happened very, very quickly. And again, it all comes back to my ability to just trust myself, to just trust that the decision is right for me, and to trust that even if I do hit roadblocks along the way or setbacks, there's nothing that I can't overcome, okay? And so if you're thinking, I'd love to be somebody that just dives in and, can just make decisions and just go for it and have that sort of that boldness, I will say that it is like a muscle that can be strengthened over time. And this is something that I've been doing gradually over the years, just getting into the habit of saying yes and figuring it all out later, just allowing myself to just go for it, trust myself, and not worry too much about how things are going to play out in the future, because ultimately we never know, okay? We never know what's going to unfold ahead of us, okay? All that we know right now is what we feel like we're being called to do, okay? So we just need to trust ourselves to say yes to that and figure out all of the rest of the stuff that comes up later down the line. So my question for you to finish on is, if you were somebody who was decisive and just said yes to yourself, yes to your dreams, what would you be saying yes to today? How can you start to embody that version of you that is already decisive, that says yes, that doesn't overthink decisions too much? How can you commit to that version of you today? Okay? And see what magic starts to unravel. Because I promise you, when you start adopting this mentality of saying yes and being decisive, magic will happen. I know the bestest things that have happened in my life have happened since I've started to become that person that says yes, that makes decisions, that doesn't overthink things. Okay, so I hope this video inspired you today. If you haven't done so already, feel free to check out the links below. And yes, I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.